Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of my new From Surviving to Thriving video interview series. Stories of real people overcoming real adversity and sharing their tips and advice on how they overcome their stories so that it can inspire help with you. Hi Cam, I'm introducing you to Cam Baird today, and I'm going to leave it with you, Cam, to introduce yourself because I know your story is amazing and I'd love you to share it from your point of view.
Awesome. Yeah, cool. Thank you, Carly. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here, guys. So I guess my story, where do I start, right? It's kind of always that way. But, to give you a bit of an introduction into who I am, I'm Cam. I'm a musician. I'm a creative and I'm an entrepreneur. I'm one of these guys that's got a million ideas sort of going around. It's kind of my creative brain. And I just love, sort of going through that process of getting them into action and then, creating stuff and finding ways to help people. That's kind of my main thing. So that's a bit of a snapshot on me, I guess, Carly, if you can take anything out of that, right?
Yeah, and you've got such great energy. That's what I love about you. From the first time that we had a Skype call, we were just buzzing off each other, and yeah, you've got such great energy that comes through in everything that you do. And I've loved watching your journey over the last few months, kind of moving more into your music and the story that's behind that. So yeah, share with our audience kind of what has shaped you into the person that you are today. I know you've been through a lot of adversity, so kind of how did you get here?
Yeah, cool. Well, I guess, for the music side of things, I discovered the guitar. I guess my parents introduced me to it when I was about 10. Didn't pick up on it immediately, but then in high school, I really started to gravitate towards the instrument, if you like. And the reason was because I started to experience a lot of depression. And it's funny because it was like almost a relationship between the two. The more I experienced that kind of adversity within myself, the more I gravitated towards my instrument. It was my release and my kind of, I guess, mechanism for dealing with things, and also a way to express for me. So, that developed over time, and it kind of set up that environment for me to become really proficient at it. So, multiple bands, all of that sort of stuff. And then I guess through music, I really learned that sort of creative process and thinking differently and recognizing that I don't have to be part of the status quo. And that's been really big for me, I guess, in the last sort of 10 years of my development of just, really carving my own path out. So yeah, I guess it's kind of like a two-pronged attack, if you like. And I feel like there's always been a duality with me as a person. It's like musician, creative, and then there's this kind of driven, more business focused and I guess kind of warrior thing, and at times they're at a bit of a head sort of with each other.
You're not a Gemini, are you?
No, I'm a Leo and cusp, right? So kind of,
yeah,
emotional one here, and we've got the sort of fiery one here.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess it's kind of a bit of a combination of the two. So in terms of the adversity, yeah, there's like, depression and stuff like that throughout my teens. I grew up, I guess, in a household where we weren't really taught how to deal with emotions. And it's that older kind of generation thing, I think that's pretty prominent is, harden up and that's it. You don't really acknowledge it.
Especially as a guy, right?
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
And that's been a thing for me is kind of acknowledging that side of myself that is, I guess, quote unquote, sensitive or whatever you want to call it. I don't really care for the label. It's just me. But, yeah, I guess I'm really big on sort of expression, and really just chasing what makes you happy and feel good. And pure self-acceptance, whatever that is, whether there's good elements, bad elements, however you kind of see them. It all starts with self-acceptance and moving through that to then choose to be your best self, I guess, but from a place of love. I think that's the foundation that it's got to come from for me personally.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people who are really creative, whether it be an artist or musos, they seem to kind of go through that dark night of the soul, don't they? And there's a lot of depression and anxiety that goes with that. Do you see that a lot with your peer group in music?
Definitely. And I think it is a therapy, right? Like music's this beautiful, powerful force, and if we look back through history, it's always been there, right, from tribal times. And I guess from those times, it's been used as like a kind of healing mechanism. A lot of the times, you'd have your shaman dances and stuff like that, or your kind of tribal initiation ceremonies, all of that. But it was really recognized for the energy that it provides. And it was quite, I guess, like ritualized within these sort of contexts. Now, obviously, we've kind of, moved to commercialization and MTV and Bieber and like all this sort of stuff, and a lot of that gets washed out.
Yeah.
But I still think that, that is inherently a part of music, is that there's a healing energy and a nature around it that connects people. And that's something that I'm super passionate about, is just making sure that my music and my lyrics and my creativity comes from that deep place within myself of exploration, healing, expression, and then it's able to reach people and then relate for them, and that's just an incredible experience, I guess, on my end, to see people go through the same journeys and reach out to me and say, hey, I've been through this. I get that. I really gravitate towards, your journey and what you're expressing in this song. It's incredible to have that.
Yeah. And to have the background that you've had and the pain that you've gone through, that really comes across in your music and your lyrics, and getting people really from a heart-based place, I think, and yeah, it's quite incredible. Yeah. What was your darkest moment, would you say?
Yeah, when I was 17, there was a moment where I had to make a decision between whether I wanted to be here or not. I guess, to put it nicely, in that context. But yeah, it was literally the darkest point of my life, and I had to make a decision, and it was the rock bottom, and it was pretty much that point of, okay, well, you're either going to get better, or there's no other option, right? You're not going to be here. So we've got to make a decision to get better and do whatever it takes, to start that journey. And, that was kind of the first real moment where the upwards trajectory really started, instead of, I guess, before that, it was mainly 6 years of just this cocooning effect and sort of self-talk and like a spiraling down. So that, to me, although it was the darkest moment, was also the kind of the catalyst for change. And as you say, the dark night of the soul, right? Everything, there's dawn after that point as well.
I got asked a really interesting question the other day when I was talking about that rock bottom moment. Yep. Someone said to me, do you believe that everyone has to have a rock bottom moment to kind of come out the other side? What would you be your thoughts on that?
No, not everyone does, but not everyone's going to be at a particular kind of depth emotionally, spiritually, energetically. And I think that, as harsh as it can sound at times, some people are almost chosen for these paths. Yeah. And that's cool. Like, it's just recognizing that everyone's got a different journey. But, one really important thing with dealing with adversity, whether you're going through it or you've been on the other side of it, is actually finding meaning from it. And I think that's a big thing that I've noticed with people. It's the ones that really grasp the meaning who do well out of it, and really sort of can recognize that, hey, all right, yes, I've been through this. It sucks. But they kind of take that meaning to get through the victim hood of it, because it is really tough to sort of be like, okay, well, why have I been through all of this? Why have I suffered? Why have I been chosen for this? But then reframe it in terms of, well, I have been chosen, and I've been chosen to experience this. And kind of how I see it, I describe it as like the dark glacier of the soul. It carves you out in a really deep place, and it creates an abyss. And that's a process that's got to happen. But then you have the choice and the responsibility of how you want to fill that abyss, because it's an incredible depth that you can just let sit as a black void, or you can just choose to fill with love and then radiate out from that place. And that's a process and a journey. It takes time. It takes courage. It takes everything you've got, but hell, it leads to some cool stuff, you know?
Damn straight. I like that glacier analogy, actually, because you can come from that abyss and turn yourself into a magnificent ice sculpture, couldn't you? So
absolutely,
that's basically what's on the other side of darkness, isn't it? So yeah. And you're so right. You can either get stuck in that victim mentality and just go round and round and keep looping round and feel really, really sorry for yourself, or you can choose to know that on the other side of that is going to be something amazing, because there always is, isn't there? If you choose that way.
Absolutely.
And it is a choice, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think, one of the things, like you're saying it perfectly, it's finding that kind of central point. And I think with a lot of, personal development gurus and stuff, they focus so much on the positive and on, like affirmations and stuff. Now, affirmations have their time and place, but when I was really in a bad place, if I'm just going, I'm awesome, I feel good, I'm happy, it's just bullshitting myself.
Yeah.
When I kind of knew that wasn't the truth. And what I had to do was kind of, come to that place of acceptance and truth first, and then build myself from that point, and sort of strengthen and condition from there. That's what I believe is kind of true change.
Totally.
The duality is so important in understanding the light and the dark, and finding that middle ground between the two, so you're balanced.
Absolutely. And that's where I got to a sticking point with my original coach training, which was in law of attraction mainly, where I, like you say, the affirmations and stuff, I thought I was working in mental health with a lot of people with suicidal tendencies. And I thought, I'm not just going to tell you to think positively, and I'm not just going to tell you to do a vision board and state a bunch of affirmations that you don't believe. But I got to a place with that where I thought, well, what is there? I know there's something way deeper than that I'm supposed to be exploring. That's really where I got into sabotage and limiting beliefs, and really exploring how you move through that resistance energy. And, and that's where it became so much more fun for me, because it's not fun stuff to work through, is it? But there's so much more than the surface level bullshit, I called it in the end. I totally believe in all the law of attraction tools. I think they're great, but you've got to be neutral or in a positive place to be able to really utilize them, don't you?
Yes, I do. And I think it's coming to that place of just appreciation for the good and the bad. Because the bad will teach you, and it'll strengthen you, and the good will, help you kind of propel for more, and also deal with the bad at times too. It's kind of a cycle. Like I'm very yin and yang, type approach, is that you need both. There's battles, and there's also sort of victories and rest and all that sort of stuff. But it's only when you've got the combination together that things are whole.
Absolutely. So what were some of the tools and the processes and the people and stuff that helped you through those really dark moments?
Yep. So like my journey, I guess, started with, where most people start, Tony Robbins. And it's just funny. Like I find that, the right things come along at the right moments. The universe always has your back. And although it can seem like things are dark and tough at times, the right people, the right tools, the right resources always come in at the right times. Yes, you need to reach out and grab them, and you need to have the courage to be able to face your stuff and work through it. And that's when you're really rewarded internally. But yeah, for me, it was like I was suffering, and then I had a bandmate actually give me a Tony Robbins tape out of nowhere, and it was just following my intuition at all points. And I'm really big on that, because I was like, cool, I'll check this out, and then that started to lead me down that path of, okay, trying on certain things, recognizing that things weren't for me, and then continuing that journey, and then more people would come in, different people. Some people would fall off, new tools, new resources. There's always something more, because you evolve yourself to, I guess, a higher point. And at that point, the new things come in, which is incredible. I don't ask me what that mechanism is. It's something beyond me. But I know that whatever that mechanism is, and whatever you believe, universe, God, source, whatever, it's benevolent. It loves you. It's looking out for you, even though at times it may seem like it's not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So with all the hundreds of tools I'm sure that you've learned over the years, as have I, do you have your favorite go-to tools? Because I've still got, among those hundreds of tools, the go-to tools that I go to when I'm feeling not so great. So are there some go-to tools that you can share? I really like to share kind of practical stuff that our audience can implement after this call if they're going through something similar to what you have.
Cool. Yeah, I'm really big on a lot of internal processes. So like NLP type work. But I guess it's more in terms of like, I don't have a set process in terms of, this is exactly what I do, but I have guidelines. And my guidelines are usually, if I'm feeling something or something's triggering me, firstly to recognize it, and then to follow my intuition in terms of what's actually coming up, because I'll notice memories at times or different instances, it can be family things. It can be other people. It can be weird stuff as well, even past life triggers or whatever it is, can start to come up. But it's then to actually, okay, that's that step, then to actually really uncover the emotion, dig into the emotion, and then release it. Because I think that's the main thing, is that we live in a society where we're conditioned to bottle up and we're conditioned to, put stuff down. And that's what I think depression actually is that it's when we bottle and we, depress stuff so deeply within ourselves that needs to be expressed, that needs to be acknowledged, that needs to be given light, needs to be given healing and nurture.
Yeah. And
And then,
self-love.
yeah, spot on, right? Like, so when we start to kind of put the light on it and recognize, hey, you know, this is actually how we feel, and we just acknowledge and express that, and we move through kind of, you know, victim state through to empowered, that's when we really grow. So that's my process is, you know, acknowledgement, then uncovering the emotion, and then moving through from the victim state through to just the empowered state, and then appreciating it, you know, as hard as that can be. It's not an easy journey, but, you know, you get better and better at it over time.
Yeah. Yeah. So through that process, what kind of limiting beliefs have you uncovered that have been really holding you back?
Yeah, I mean, a lot. Like, I guess some of the global beliefs, you know, was that life was hard, that life is suffering, like some of these things, and you don't even know where they come from, right?
Life
Like,
is a struggle.
yeah, and that, you know, like you're almost meant to be unhappy and things like that, you know, and that people are miserable. And hey, that's just life. You just deal with it, right? Like you harden up, essentially.
Princess.
Yeah, pretty much, right? Like, so, you know, there's like that, I guess, on the emotional journey. And then I think once you go a level deeper than that, there was a lot of kind of just, you know, reflective stuff that wasn't pretty in terms of like, I'm not worthy. You know, I'm not good enough. I don't really believe in myself, and all these really deep level beliefs that are essentially just caused by a void of self-love. You know, and then it's up to you to kind of face them and nurture and love through it. Yep. So that's some of the stuff that I've faced, I guess, you know, more on the emotional front, but it applies to all areas of life. You know, like you might have limiting beliefs in your health. You might have limiting beliefs in finances, business. And the most powerful thing that I think I've recognized, and I've had mentors teach me, is that there's always more. And, you know,
as thing, isn't it? And that's it's fun at the same time. Once you break through, the more, you know, it's you know how much lighter you're going to feel as a result of it, and what's on the other side when you do, because, you know, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and it's incredible, right? And, you know, that release and that ecstasy is just like nothing else. You know, when you break through something big, and then, you know, like the internal creates the external, then all the amazing stuff starts to come into your life as a result, and it's fascinating.
Yeah, cool. So in what ways have you grown as a person through the adversity that you've gone through, would you say?
I would say, it's a tough question. Like, I've really grown emotionally in how I deal with things. And, you know, like I'm big internal, external. So once I've kind of learned to deal with myself, it changes how I deal with other people. So it's created a lot more compassion. It's created a lot more patience. And a big thing for me is it's also created boundaries. And this is the thing, like for me, it's been like that kind of constant self-love through beliefs of I'm not good enough. And what I've had to learn over time is that my boundaries are actually a self-worth mechanism. That when I put boundaries in place, it kind of safeguards me. And sort of, you know, hey, you know, you're not actually able to do this. And that's it. Like, I don't need to say, you know, give you the reasons. I don't need to kind of reinforce why. It's just that's it. Cause I accept myself, and it's either you're in or you're out, you know, at times. And that can be tough, you know, making those decisions with people or events or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But it's always just choosing what's best for you.
The hardest place is to start, isn't it? Because I think any person in a helping profession goes through that lack of self-worth, which leads to having no boundaries. I know I used to have no boundaries when it came to helping other people, especially at a time when I needed it the most. And to start putting those boundaries in place is really tough, isn't it? So if there's someone watching this who hasn't put those boundaries in place yet, but is recognizing maybe from this chat that they really need to, where would be a good place to start, would you say?
Start small, and then just grow over time. So it's almost like a little self-discipline, and it's a muscle that you build. So it's the same thing as going to a gym, is that you're not going to go in and then, you know, jump under 100 kilogram bench press on your first session, right? So just start small with boundaries, with people, and recognize that it's okay. It's okay to say no. to certain people or certain events. And if you're not feeling it, then cool. And if that person's going to give you a hard time over it, then it's just like, look, that's actually not best for me. We can come back to a point where we can discuss that and try and work through a solution together. But right now, I've got to focus on what's best for me, and I've got to put down that boundary.
Yeah.
And over time, you might get tested more on that, but it's just recognizing that you deserve better and coming from that place of, no, I've got to love myself, and I've got to really sort of create what I want for me.
Yeah. And it's great when you get to a place where people just understand those boundaries, and because you've just reinforced them to a point where it's easier for you to say, and they just think, oh yeah, no, that's cool.
Absolutely, they accept you, right?
It's definitely a cause for celebration when that happens, isn't it?
Big time, right? It's an awesome place. It's a peaceful place.
Yeah, definitely. So I like this question.
The big one.
Is there anything that you'd change of all the adversity that you've experienced in your life? Would you do anything differently?
No, because it makes me who I am today. And I accept that. I accept my journey. I think, if I got to go back and do it with the knowledge that I had now, I'd just do it quicker. I'd sort of filter out certain people. I'd filter out certain events. I'd put my boundaries in place stronger. I'd just process my emotions quicker. That's the only thing I'd really change, just because I have knowledge now. Like, that's it, but no, I'm grateful. I'm really grateful for my journey and everything like that. And it's been tough at times, but hey, like, I wouldn't be here without it. So I've got to really sort of acknowledge that and be appreciative for it.
So if anyone who's watching is in a similar position to where what you've described today, what tips would you have for them if they're in their darkest moment right now? What tips can you share?
Hold on is the first point. And just listen to the parts of you that are based in love. And they might be really, really small. For me, at certain points, they were just a tiny little whisper up against this Goliath, that was sort of raining down on this thing. But that tiny little whisper is so strong. And it's like a little flower that if you water it and you nurture it, eventually it just blooms into this jungle. So just keep going. Yes, it's hard, but take care of yourself along the journey and don't beat yourself up. That's literally the worst thing that you can do. It's okay to not be where you thought you'd be. It's okay to not be where other people's expectations of you are. What's important is just acknowledging where you are and loving yourself from that place. And then from that point, making a decision to continue, that work of self-love and self-development.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, Cam. So how can our audience connect with you if they want to speak to you more about your music or anything really?
Yeah, cool. Like you can find me on Facebook. So all of my, social media stuff's through my artist name, Cam Bird. So I'm on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, all of it. My website, cambirdmusic.com. And then, for any other kind of development work, stuff like that, then it's probably my personal page, on Facebook that you can contact me through, because I still do a little bit of coaching and all of that, because I just love giving back and supporting.
I can vouch for Cam being an awesome coach, by the way.
Well, a coach is only as good as the students, right? So you make me awesome, right? But no, it's been awesome. So yeah, like by all those means, you can track me down, and I just love interacting with people. I love helping people, and being of service. I think that's at the end of the day what we're all here for.
Absolutely. Cool. Thanks so much for our chat today, Cam. It's been awesome, and I'm sure you've helped everyone watching this, and I'm just really grateful to you for being here and for what you've helped me with in the past as well. So it's been great to connect with you. Awesome. Thanks for watching, guys. I look forward to the next installment, which will be episode 5. I'll put the links to Cam's, all of Cam's contact details in the notes on the various social media that I'll post this on. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks for watching. Thank you so much for joining me today for my video interview series From Surviving to Thriving, stories of real people overcoming real adversity. If you're currently going through a situation that you're struggling to cope with right now, some kind of change or trauma in your life, maybe that's happened in your past and you're struggling to deal with, then I'm here for you, either via one-on-one coaching or through my online coaching program, From Surviving to Thriving, which I put together based on my own experiences of overcoming adversity and with the clients that I have worked with, helping them through their tough times. This is a combination of tools, quick and easy tools that will help you to transform your life, help you shift out of that negative mindset and into neutralizing those negative emotions so that you can cope with what's going on and create a better life for yourself. Head on over to my website, coachcarly.com, where you'll find all the information you'll need. And if you want to get in touch, feel free to do so via the contact page on my website. I look forward to hearing from you soon.